Hi friends, my name is Raghu and welcome to my channel. I work as a system engineer specializing in SCCM and Intune in end-user computing space. Today I will be explaining how we can configure a two-tier PKI in a lab, but essentially the concept remains the same even if you're doing it in a production environment. So my lab, it runs on a VMware Workstation Pro application, but you can use Hyper-V or Oracle VirtualBox. It should work exactly the same. So talking about my existing setup, my domain name is home.com and my DC and root CA both are on the same subnet, hence there is no issue in communication between each other. Since it is my lab, I have disabled firewall, but in production environment, you may want to get in touch with your NetOps team to get port 135 allowed for better communication and not to face any issues in there. And my lab is a single domain first with one DC in place. As I said already, domain name is home.com. And I will be configuring a root CA for my two-tier PKI lab on a non-domain VM. This will eventually be used to convert my SCCM lab from HTTP to HTTPS. So with no further delay, let's jump right into it. So this is, as you can look, this is my root CA. I've renamed it as in work group. There's no need to put in a static IP. As long as it's getting an IP and communication is there, you good. Just to save us and you a bit of a time, I have configured this notepad file, which I will put in the description below. Basically, this is crux from different Microsoft technical articles and other documentation I found on Google, just to make our life easy. So as you can see, so very first link is the TechNet link, Microsoft Docs link, which explains the steps of two-tier PKI in detail. So the very first thing we have to do is we have to create a file called capolicy.inf, and to create it, we just right-click here and run PowerShell as admin, and then you can put in Notepad, C Windows, and give it a name and hit enter. It should create the file. Once the file is there, come in here, you copy the content from here to here, paste it, save it, just to see if it got what we need. We just check it, it's all good. So the next step is we need to make a DNS change, which basically is an alias for a CRL that we're going to use to submit the certificates request. So I'm going to use pki.home.com, which will be pointing to my DC. So let's jump to my DC. Why we're doing it on my DC? Because I will be using my DC as a subordinated CA. I don't want to use another third VM here, so I'm using my DC. There's no harm in doing it. It's just that I don't have enough infrastructure to spin up another VM. So if you can have a look, so that's it. Done. Click OK. It's here. All good. While we are here, we can also go ahead and install the web server rules in here. So in order to do that, you just click add rules, next, pretty much it. So click default, leave everything default, we don't want to do anything, and just click next. So while it's installing, let's come back here. So we're gonna install the CA role on this CA. Click next, add role, root CA. Gonna select the very first one. We're not selecting anything else, it's just gonna be a purely RCA, there's nothing else. So click next. While it's installing, we can check on a subordinated CA how's things going. So it's still installing the web services that we tried to, which we initiated before, and also we're installing Active Directory certificate services on our primary root CA, which will be offline once we are done here. And while this is also doing, we can do one more thing, which is to check the communication between DC and root CA. So it's all there. Uh, Make sure you have this folder created on your DC or the subordinated CA. So you configure. So what basically we did, we clicked on configure Active Directory certificate services on the destination server, which is a root CA server. You clicked on it, select CA, at the very top. It's going to be a standalone CA, root CA, yep. New key. I'm just going to change the key length and leave everything else default. Click next. I'm going to name it offline root CA. That's what I'm going to name my, so you can name anything you want. And I'm going to change this to 20 years. That's what I want. And click on configure. Pretty straightforward. Once it is done, you're going to come back here, right click, open certificate authority. It should start. It should open the certificate authority. Just going to make one change here. Right, once it is here, you're going to go to C Windows, System32, Cert. So this is where your default certificates and everything are located. So we're not going to do anything with that just now, because if you come back to a notepad file, once this is done, we need to make these changes. So we're going to define the AD configuration partitions and distinguished name. So one thing to note here, I'm going to run these commands, but you need to change these values. So DC. So if yours is like, let's say lab.local, so you're going to put lab here and local here. Mine is home.com, hence I'm using home here and com here just to make things easier. So this is the bat file I'm going to share with you all. Basically, it's going to run all these things. I don't want to copy paste each and everything. So just going to change it. It's saying that I need to restart the cert services, which is nothing but Active Directory certificate services, to complete or make sure the changes to take effect. So I'll leave that there. I'm going to move to the next step because we're going to restart the services once we are done with all the steps. So you're going to press any key, it's going to complete. Just make sure that this line exists after every keystroke. It's there, so it's restarting the services now. So it's going to stop the services first. It's stopping it. So let's wait. Once it is stopped, then it will restart it as well. It's taking more of time. Cool, so it stopped. Perfect. So it's starting now. Cool, so it started successfully as well. So we come back here. Cool, everything working. So that's the name we gave. We come here, click property. We can always view the certificate. It's kind of good for 20 years as we defined. One thing you can always check, what's the signature hash algorithm. Here, that's what we selected. And it should say 4096 on the public key strength. That's all good. So we're gonna make some changes here to the CRL and the AIA. So the first thing we're gonna do, remove this one too. Click add and copy this path. We're gonna change it to pki.home.com. So you just click here and click OK. Make sure these two are selected. Don't click OK or apply because that's going to restart the cert services. We will click apply once we are done with both the options of AIA, Authority Information Access, and the CRL as well, the CDP. So you're going to remove these two, click here. We're going to do the same thing. Copy this one, paste it here, and pki.home.com. And click OK, include, click OK. Yep, I'm gonna click yes on that. Perfect. So you come here. You can also check the revoke keys, reward certificates length. So we publish it for 20 years. So what basically it means is that we need to power on this root CA every 20 years. So yeah, so you just click here, click publish, the new CRL. Perfect. So that's all done. We published a root cert and CRL. So you copy these two files and paste it in on the DC wherever you want. So I'm going to put it here because I have created another bat file that I'm going to use on my subordinated CA to activate these files, which I will show you in a short time. So if you look at it, so we're done with this bat file, and we're going to jump on our subordinated CA. In my case, it's my domain controller. Meanwhile, this is also done. So just to test if our web services are working on that, I'm just going to browse to pki.home.com. Perfect, which means our IIS is working. So we're going to minimize that. So DNS part is done. If I come to here, right. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Create a new CA policy INF file. So this one. Cool. So we just click yes, copy the content, paste it, save it. We can close it. So I'll paste this one and provide this one as well. I'll probably put it on my GitHub, and you guys can download it from there if you want. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to publish the root CA AI certificates and CRL list in AD. So some tutorials online may tell you that not to publish the CRLs and other things online before you do it, before you copy the certificates from the root CA to subordinate CA. So, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna install the role first. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, you roll that. Click next. Here you make sure that you do select CA Authority Web Enrollment and click next. Click install. So while it's installing, I just want to give you a bit of an insight what we're doing here. My experience in my journey of learning to Tier PKI infrastructure has been really super fast. I would say learning on steroids, to be honest with you. I had to learn all this in matter of 2 to 3 weeks, which is in no way recommended way of learning PKI. It's way too complicated, but uh, there was a bit of a business requirement that I had to understand, and there was a urgency because of the circumstances in our company with everybody going on remote, and we had to implement cloud management gateway in our office within matter of days. So one of the prerequisites is to have uh, the whole site on HTTPS beforehand. So that was kind of a driving point for me why I had to learn this and implement it within a week's time. So yeah, great. So the installation has completed. Once the installation is done, you just come in here, click on Configure AD Certificate Services on this destination service, as we did in previous one. So you click Next. And also one more thing, this is my domain admin or enterprise admin account. Any account, if you're using different one, you just need to make sure this account is a member of enterprise admin in your domain. Otherwise, it won't work. So yeah, click Next. Select both of these, click next. So you're going to use enterprise CA this time because it's going to be a subordinated one. Perfect. Click next. So just going to change the key length, and again I'm going to name it issuing CA because it's going to be used as a issuing CA. Right, so this is the request file to authenticate. Since our root CA is not in domain, we need to authenticate this subordinate CA manually, and that's just one time thing. You don't have to do it every time, just once you have to complete that. So rest everything is default, just click next. All right, on this warning is basically saying that we haven't submitted this request, hence it cannot validate the functionality of CA on this server. So that's what we're going to do now. So if you come back on your root CA and go to that DCC dollar, that's the file there. Copy it from there and paste it in your C temp on your root CA. Come here, right click, and here you're going to submit a new request. Browse to C temp, select the subordinate CA is going to be in the pending request. Click right click, all tasks, issue, come in the issue. So once it is issue, then open it, copy to file, click next. We're going to export it as a .p7b file. So just name it issuing CA cert file. So click next, click finish. Export was success. Cool. So you just put it back here in the C temp, paste it, and we come back to a subordinate CA. And before we import this one, we just gonna run this bat file. So what's this basically? This bat file is gonna do all the steps which are mentioned here. It's just gonna run those files. It's not gonna do anything fancy. It's just gonna run these one by one. So if you have a look, that's all it's doing. So run it as admin. So that's fine. Success, success. It's completely successfully. Success. So it's basically I put in two pauses. Say, have you installed the role? Yes, we have. So it's gonna successfully complete this one. There is an extra E there. I think I made a typographical error. Oh yes, I have. So we can always come in here and run that manually. Perfect. So that's done. See, so that's the reason why you have to take a keep a closer look on every time you click any key to continue. It has to say successfully, otherwise something won't work. So you will have your head scratching all the time why it's not working, and then you're gonna spend hours and hours to troubleshoot it. But if you follow this same process what I'm doing right now, it's gonna run up work perfectly fine for you. Trust me on that. So all good successfully here, successful, perfect. Cool, so it's gonna starting, great. So, okay, it failed on something here. Oh, okay. So what we need to do in order to fix that part is we just need to come in here, play the certificate authority, right click, and you need to install the CSR. It's in the cert that we exported from the root CA. That's exactly the what something that exactly the same certificate you need to submit here. Right click, start the service. Perfect, it works fine. So it failed on something. Oh yeah, that failed on the services because services were not working or running before. It started running now since we implemented that. I imported that certificate here. So yeah, the next thing we have to do is we need to make those exact same changes to the CRL and AIA as well. So just click add. So you just copy this one, add it here. Put the same name, pki.home.com. In my case, it may be something else in your case, guys. So please make sure you change it. Click OK. Include it here. Remove, add, copy, pki.home.com. Remove it. So just copy it here, include, click OK. Yep, we just need to do that. And just revoke certificate, publish, news here. We don't want to do Delta 1, news here. Cool, so that part is done. So you should see these ones here. So what we have to do is we need to copy these two files. Remember we copied these two from the roots here, these two files. So these two files from here need to go into the set and role folder on your subordinate CS. So click yes, continue. So that part is done. If you come in here, uh, cool. So this, if you see this one, that means it's working. So you can create a new request here, or you can submit a new one uh, after entering your certificate request here. I haven't published any templates, but you can always publish any template you want to certificate to publish a new template. You can always come in here and say duplicate template, whatever name you want or details you want, you can just always publish a new template here, and then you can start deploying certificates from there. One more thing I wanted to show you guys, that how to check health of your any two-tier PKI environment. So that the command is PKI view. They should always have all the checks done. If you are facing any issue or red mark here, that means there is some issues with it. Pretty straightforward. Basic troubleshooting is just you copy this URL and run it in the browser. It should always download this certificate. This means the certificate is working. Oh, sorry, the web CRL is working. It should uh, distribute the certificates without any issue. But if there are any issues, this is the very first point you should be looking at. So with this, guys, that's pretty much it into this video, the very first session of mine. If I have made any mistake, feel free to give me feedback, put in the comments. If you need any information or help, feel free to share or ask me. I'm more than happy to answer all of your queries. And again, this is my first attempt. If I have made any mistake, please, I apologize for that. And yeah, have a good day. Take care, guys. Bye bye.